Welcome to Single Tree Nation. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin, the host and owner of Single Tree Woodfire Barbecue. We are here to build community through undeniable hospitality, storytelling, and the perfect plate of barbecue. Welcome back to Single Tree Nation, guys. I'm your man, Charlie Eblin.
Again.
Always here with my illustrious co-host, Derry Wells.
Everybody?
Feels like we've done this before.
Oh, man, I'm having such a case of deja vu.
With our special guest today, Alex Belew.
Hey.
Hell's Kitchen winner.
Just microphone on?
It
Heard
should
that.
be
Just
on.
checking. Heard. Gotcha.
Entrepreneur, restaurateur, musician, all of the above. Is there anything that you don't do?
Plumbing, yeah. I'm not very good at plumbing.
Water goes downhill, baby.
Shit comes back up. Why is that turd in the bathtub? I'm just trying to figure that out. It went down, but then it came up. Strange. Mason, don't play with that. That's not a toy.
Is your son's name Mason?
Yeah.
I have a Mason too.
Really?
Youngest or oldest?
Youngest. Yeah.
My youngest.
My 7-year-old. Yeah. He's my cocaine addict. Well, you would think he's on cocaine.
Yours too?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's got to be a Mason thing.
If it makes you feel better, I've never had a bad Mason in class.
No?
Never.
I think it's because he was frozen for 2 years, though, as an embryo. Something happened to the wires during the thaw. I don't know what it was. Science is weird, man. He's like,
back to normal.
Well, I tried to name him Han Solo, but my wife was like, no, because he was frozen.
Absolutely,
frozen for
Han.
2 years.
Yeah, that's great.
She told you no?
Yeah, so I get shut down a lot.
I tried to name all of my kids George. All 3 of them. I've tried to name George.
That's a pretty bad. No offense to the Georges out there.
It is. It was my grandfather's name. It was the only reason I wanted to do it.
Let me tell you how my boot tastes real fast.
Yeah. It was my grandfather's name, but I didn't want it. I didn't care about it being his first name. Like I'm not gonna call my kid this day and age George.
Right.
I mean, that's.
I'm glad to know you love your children. Yes,
you might as well just throw them off a cliff.
Well, I just wonder who looks at a baby and goes, "Little Hank is so cute."
Yeah,
Hank.
Yeah, or George.
Fred.
George
I can
is
almost
just
rock with Hank, kind of, but George, Fred, like some of those.
Couldn't name him Richard either, knowing somebody's going to call him Dick one day.
100%.
What?
Yeah. So when I was in the Army, there was a private in my unit.
He said private.
Yeah. His name was Richard Head.
Oh gosh,
that's a problem.
Mom and Dad did that intentionally. That's not fair.
Yeah.
So
my mom didn't like him.
My mom's neighbor, his name is Richard, but she calls him Dick. I called him Bob the whole time I lived next to him as a kid. But my boys go over to my mom's house all the time, but they'd never heard her call him that. And they didn't say a thing when she said it to his face. But my oldest, Raya, comes in the house. He goes, "Okay, so Gaga said Dick a lot today." And I was like, that's her neighbor's name. He goes, "Okay, why is his name Dick? That's like your balls." I was like, no, not the same thing.
Well,
but the 9-year-old mind, you just can't contain the wonders of it. You know, it's great.
That might be one of the best stories yet.
as fun.
Okay.
No, so it's a high
shot.
school throwback. So anyway,
Oh man,
leave me alone.
This show's about Alex, not your ragers.
no, we can make it about you. Go ahead.
I had one. Gosh.
So you grew up here.
Yes.
Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, you may not know, but you just were recently on a pretty large television show.
Yeah, it's pretty big. 10 million viewers or something like that.
Kind of a big deal,
Yeah.
right?
The chef's kind of wildly known.
Super nice guy, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
not a dick at all.
No. So
Soft spoken.
Never yells.
for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Hell's Kitchen. I am super intrigued because I know a couple of people that know him personally.
Okay.
Never got an introduction, couldn't tell you.
Yep.
Is he really that big of a dick off camera?
No.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
That's what I've been told, is that he's truly a pretty nice dude.
Yeah, he genuinely cares about people and cares about what he's doing, and he really does. I mean, obviously he makes a ton of money on this. There's no lie there, but
of course.
he also does it to give people opportunities that they normally wouldn't get in everyday life. I mean, It did not happen to me. I don't know where I'd be currently in a state of depression I probably couldn't dig my way out of, but who knows? I mean,
How long was the show?
We filmed in 18 days, but I was in LA for 5 weeks. So we were still in the throes of COVID. So we had to quarantine in a hotel room for 15 days. Couldn't leave the room. It's pretty nuts. They take your phones when you land. It's pretty insane. I mean, we had Netflix, we had YouTube, but you're stuck and confined to your room. They bring you 3 Uber meals a day, and you just sit there. And they COVID test you twice a day, and you're kind of like checking through the peephole to see who's across the hall.
That's crazy.
Who they COVID testing over there? Who's that guy? And just trying to size up people through a little pinhole.
But
yeah, but then competition started on a Monday, and then it was basically 3 weeks, and it was over.
So the whole show is literally just about the best chef.
Yeah, I mean it's a test of a lot of things. I mean, you're testing your leadership, your mentality, how you really hold it all together. Obviously, your ability to cook matters, but he's really looking for someone with composure. And I was obviously one of the oldest people. I'm the oldest person to ever win by, I think, 6 years. He normally doesn't ever pick older people to win the show. It's always been in their 20s because he kind of wants to mold them and, do his thing with them. And older people are usually set in their ways, especially with cooking and being in restaurants. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But for me, it was like an exit strategy. And I didn't go with the idea of winning at all because I just was like, I just need something to shake my life up. And, most people, when they watch it, say, I knew you were going to win from the first episode. But I never knew I had it in the bag until my door opened. It was never like a thought where I've got this. Because you're only as strong as your last dinner service or your last challenge. Because if you've done well in 5 dinner services, but you're the reason the team shits the bed on steak night, you're going up for elimination. It doesn't matter how good you were 6 days prior.
Right.
You threw up 13 raw New York strips and 2 overcooked ribeyes. Bye. So that's it. You don't really have any legs to stand on when it comes to each separate service.
So you're standing behind that door. You've gone through the whole show, right?
Yep.
It's you and one other chef, and forgive me, I forgot. Daphne.
Yep.
So it's you and Daphne left. You're standing there, and at that point, you have no idea that you've won.
No.
So it's pure, unadulterated shock when that door
what you
opens.
see is reality. Like, there's nothing scripted about the show. I mean, it's all, when we wake up in the mornings, we don't know what the day's going to look like. We have no idea what the challenge is, what dinner service is going to look like. We don't know the reward or the punishment will be. We know nothing.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to bed around 2:30 or 3 in the morning, you wake up about 5:30 in the morning. And that's,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
And you're doing that for 3 weeks.
Yeah, 18 days, no sleep. There's no air conditioning in the dorms. You got 2 toilets for 18 people, so the seat's always warm. It's pretty wild. And yeah, I mean, when that door, I've kind of coined a phrase about my life. Like, my life has been a series of almost and maybes. And so I've never really gotten that yes. And so that was really the first time that I got a yes, like a really big yes.
That's a big yes.
And so when that door opened, it was really just surreal. It was unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it. And that's why I hit the ground. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Nothing like that has ever happened to me. So it was
It's incredible, man.
pretty wild. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Y'all serve dinner
work.
every night of those 18 nights?
We had Sundays off. That was kind of like a rest day. They would take you back to the hotel, and you go to the hotel around 2 or 3 in the morning. And they pick you up at 4 the next morning, so you kind of get to rest. They give you some homework to do while you're there, but it's kind of like a catch-up day. I think it's also union laws where they kind of have to give you a day off. But yeah, I mean, it was every day. We had dinner service. I think there were 2 nights where we didn't do dinner service. And then there's some variations thrown in there. There's like a charity dinner. There's a steak night. And we did a wedding reception one night.
Okay.
But other than that, it's like straight up dinner service. And they don't get you prepared for dinner service at all. Like, your first night, you're just guessing. Like, you don't know how to set up a station. You don't know how to really execute the items on the line. Everything's a guess.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty. And, I'm not Superman, so you can't tell when a beef Wellington is done, because I can't see through puff pastry, and you can't touch the steak. So your first couple of nights, it's like, oh, it's been 18 minutes. I guess it's done. So every time you throw in like 1 Wellington, you would actually throw in 2. And if he called 2, you'd throw in 4, just so you always had something, like sandbagging a little bit.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that in a normal restaurant at all.
Cost too
obviously
much.
cost,
Yeah.
but in that environment, you're definitely sandbagging.
Yeah, doing everything you can to make sure you have the perfect one.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wiggle room with the dinner service times. Like he calls entrees and apps at the same time, and there's a good 30 to 45 minutes before he fires the entrees. But when he fires the entrees, he wants them in 4 minutes. So everything's supposed to be cooked and rested or par cooked to 80 to 90%, and you're just picking up by butter basting. And that's it. That's it. So like he calls a halibut in with the appetizers. You sear the halibut, you flip it over, you add veg stock and butter, and then you just set it up on top of the pans where all of the heat comes out of the vents, and you're kind of cooking sous vide in the air. The ambient heat is kind of slowly cooking that halibut up to about 135. Yeah. So that way, when it's time for pick it up, butter based, it comes out hot, it's perfectly cooked, and you sell it.
That's awesome.
But there are things that nobody in restaurants cooks like that.
No.
I was like, you want me to do what now? He's like, just set it up there. I'm like, okay. And then he calls it, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's done. Halibut. Ready to go. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
So you've won the show, and outside of being the Hell's Kitchen winner, the champion or whatever they call it.
You can call me champ. That sounds great.
I call you champ. I love it. So what's the future from winning that show? What's the future look like for you now?
Well, I was at Caesars Atlantic City for like 14 months. I didn't take the job full time because it required moving my family to Atlantic City, which, let's be real, it's Atlantic City. Nobody wants to live there.
Right.
And so I took the job. I was there 1 week a month for 14 months. And then that ended in April. I'm going back next month for the 2-year anniversary of the restaurant. But it's just kind of like I leave this Sunday. I'm going to L.A. until Thursday. And then I fly straight from L.A. to Ridgefield, Washington to do a barbecue festival for 5 days. And then I fly straight to Boston to do a dinner with Pedro Martinez. And then I'm flying back home. And then I go back to New Jersey. And then I go back to Illinois. And it's just kind of bouncing around doing different events and pop-ups. And that's just kind of what it is right now. It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So winning the show obviously gave you a position.
Yeah, it gives you some exposure for sure.
But it sounds like to me, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like to me it's really just opened up an infinite amount of doors for future possibilities.
Yeah, oddly, it's opened more doors musically than I thought it would at all, and it didn't open as many doors from a food. I really thought it would open more doors to TV with food.
Yeah,
none. Not one.
Really?
Not one phone call. I had 3 different meetings with 3 different food talent agencies. Nothing. One of them flat out told me my problem is I'm a tall, fit, 42-year-old white man, and there's no place for me right now in the market. So I was like, okay, cool.
I'm available.
It's weird. Like
I'm just saying. I mean,
Short, less fit.
but there was no
shows.
but there was no Food Network opportunities, no Bravo, no nothing, and it was pretty interesting. I really thought that would be a bit of an opening to something else, but.
Does some of that play into your age though? Because you said he usually goes for the younger guy.
Yeah, but I mean, but if you look back at the trajectory of most people from Hell's Kitchen, most of them have just kind of vanished. Like, none of the winners, other than Christina, are really doing anything. Okay. And now she's not working for Gordon anymore. She resigned in December, so she was there for 10 or 11 years. But nobody that ever does Hell's Kitchen goes anywhere. They all kind of go back to their normal old boring jobs, and that's not what I wanted at all. Yeah. So would
you ever do something like that again?
A restaurant?
Another show?
Oh, maybe. They asked me to do Hell's Kitchen again for season 23. They had an idea for it. They wanted to do like an All-Stars, but I was like, I've already won. I don't want to compete again. I would be the sous chef for it because that would be fun. Plus, I'd kind of get to be like an asshole, which is not me by nature, but it'd be fun to play one on TV and just like kind of fuck with all the other chefs. But that didn't fly, and they kind of went a different direction. And so I wouldn't want to do Chopped. It's so subjective. You know, you open a bag and there's squid and Skittles, and you're like, make me something in 20 minutes. And I'm like, well, I made you a squid and Skittle salad. Have fun. Here's some ranch.
Right.
That's about as far as it goes. Like, that's not really my
you make my wife's night. You throw ranch on it, she'd be fine.
I'd never be able to do. The only one that I personally have any interest in is Barbecue Showdown.
Sure. That makes sense.
And we're gonna have Shatika on, who won season 3 recently. She'll be on next week or the week after. I don't remember when I booked it, but that would be cool. Just because, have you seen the show?
I don't watch any cooking shows.
Okay. So they have a thing called the trench. And the trench it's just you're cooking with live fire.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's a big sand pit with, grills and stones and charcoal and wood, and go figure it out. Here you go. And then, so they have, barbacoa stuff. They have, you name it, and it's in this trench. And there's segments throughout the show. I think it's 9 episodes. And it's the same thing. They start with 9 people or 10 people, and somebody gets eliminated every show.
Right.
But that, oh man, it speaks to my soul.
Live fire's a different animal.
Oh yes.
There's a ton of chefs. I'd say most don't know how to handle live fire.
It's for me, it's one of those things that you have to be, it's like controlling chaos.
Yeah.
Right. And you can't control chaos, but you have to figure out how to mold it into a weld of, okay, hey, we're going to live in this range, and then figure out how to cook something on it.
Yeah, there's no control point with that.
No.
Like with gas, induction, electric,
Yeah.
you got settings. You know what you're working with. 8 stays 8. Medium high stays medium high.
Yep.
Live fire, you're having to constantly juggle, move things around, go up and down with your grates. Do I go straight on the coals to get a sear? Like it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
That's why most places don't have live fire grills.
It's so much fun.
The flavor though is so much better.
It's incredible. Obviously I do a lot of smoking, and it's
Food.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to clarify for our viewers.
Yeah. I can't do the other.
You're more of a chewer.
I just fall asleep. So, it is what it is. But to cook with fire, the amount of seasoning and flavor you can get from wood is just unmatched.
Yep.
And I have this argument all the time with people that are close to me about the different styles of smokers, and how you can take a big old hickory rotisserie gas assisted pit, and you can cook some very phenomenal barbecue, but it's gas assisted. So you're going to have some of that flavor go on it, to where on an offset that's 100% wood.
Right.
You're not going to have that flavor.
More authentic smoke.
It's going to be 100% smoke and heat. That's all you're cooking with. So
see, but I have the patience of a 4-year-old with ADD, so I have a pellet grill. But I also, I don't smoke anything. I don't have the patience. And I also have 2 small children and a wife, and they're all very picky. So the last thing I'm going to do is throw a 12-pound brisket on for 12 hours and be like, guess I'm eating 8 pounds of beef for the next week and a half. That's just,
freezer works, man.
It would be great, but that thing's filled with corn dogs and chicken nuggets. You got to hold it in brisket.
Look, ain't it the way it is?
I'm just feeding
house
the
is the same
neighborhood.
way.
Yeah, I'm just feeding the neighborhood at this point. But it's, I love eating barbecue, but I don't have the patience. When I want to eat, I want something intense. My microscope's got
to the
ED.
best
My
of us.
microscope's got
Sorry.
ED. This needs to go to the low T clinic
That's
right
right. Jeez.
Yeah.
I love it. Hey, you let something slip a minute ago when he said, would you do it again? And he was talking TV, but you said restaurant?
Yeah.
Would you do restaurant again? I know you had the local thing here.
Yeah. Man, it would take an act of God.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I would not do it in the same way that I did Dallas and Jane.
Sure.
And there was a lot of pride with Dallas and Jane. I thought I had to do everything on my own, and got some trust issues from it as well, because I got really burned by my GM and a few other people. But at the end, I had a solid crew. Right. Most of my crew didn't turn over. I had most of the same cooks for the entire time we were open, most of the same servers the entire time we were open. But my GM was my best friend at the time, and he wound up stealing from me and lying to everybody, and he just screwed me over and left after Thanksgiving and went to Texas and went into rehab. Didn't even know he had a drinking problem. He was my best man at my wedding. Yeah. And just all that went down really weird. And it was just a really hard thing to do in Murfreesboro. It was, obviously my location wasn't ideal for most people, but you know, I thought it was pretty cool. You just run to Dollar General and get you some ketchup and toilet paper on your way home.
I told my wife where your restaurant was located, and she goes, "Oh, across from those apartments, it'll never work." And I was like, "Don't judge the whole area on those apartments."
I mean, it was
She
$4
did.
grand a month. Like,
Yeah.
you can't get a restaurant for $4 grand a month. And Scott was cool enough. Like, he saw all the improvements I did on the building. He gave me 10 months free rent just because of how beautiful I made the space.
Wow.
But it just, I mean, I was working 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
I didn't have a day off. This thing, seriously. It was just, it consumed all of me, and it made me into a person that I'm not. And I didn't realize it in the time, but man, my fuse was so short, and I
Sure.
was trying to hold everything, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. You can't micromanage people. You can't take it all on yourself.
Did you have kids at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I knew you were married, but I didn't know.
Yeah, so at the time, my oldest was 3 when I opened it, and my youngest was 1. When COVID happened, and I finally, you know, kind of had to come home from the government shutdowns, my then 3-year-old, who was 1 when I opened it, did not know who I was.
Wow.
So for like 2 weeks, we walked around the house like strangers. He was scared of me, didn't know who I was. It was like I had to get to know my kid.
Yeah.
And there's no career worth not being a dad.
Yeah,
You only
exactly.
get one chance at them being little. My dad split when I was 3 weeks old. I'm not doing that to my kids.
Right.
And as crazy as my travel schedule is now, I actually spend more time with my family now than I did then.
That's awesome.
I mean,
awesome.
I take them to school every morning. I pick them up every day. I'm coaching their soccer team. I don't know anything about soccer.
I saw your post on that.
Yeah,
by the
pretty
way,
hilarious.
About 4 hours
You
of
know,
YouTube.
Yeah, yesterday I YouTube soccer drills for 4 hours, and that
Look.
pretty much fake it till you make it.
Exactly. I'm an assistant high school girls soccer coach, and this is my 2nd season. I still don't always know what's going on. Just slow it down. Give them space on the field.
Yep.
Let them get recognition. You're going to be fine.
I got a whistle on Amazon, so
there
I
you
felt
go.
pretty
See?
official.
Did you get a Fox 40?
Plus they're $6. Plus they're 7 years old. So, you know,
Yeah,
but
you-
like my knees are so bad, I can't even really demonstrate the moves I'm trying to get them to do. I look like a half retarded baby camel out there trying to kick a soccer ball down the field. But I mean, I was like, all right, we're going to work on a hook turn. They're like, what's that? I'm like, watch this YouTube video.
That's right. That's exactly
Do this
it. Do
for
this.
5 minutes. Yeah. But I mean, we have a good time.
That's outstanding.
cool.
It's hard to pass up. Before I opened my own place, I was a vice president for a restaurant company.
Okay.
And I had 5 states. Yeah, 5 or 6 states.
That's a lot to cover.
The Southeast. So I traveled 5-6 days a week. Was never at home. The
Yeah.
whole 9 yards. So I get it. Even though I'm still working the 100-hour weeks, but I have time to be able to go and do things every once in
Yeah.
a while, and so I understand what you're saying.
But don't
It's a
get me
lot.
wrong, I do miss it. Like there are moments where I'm like, oh, I really miss this.
Yeah.
Like when I'm back in the kitchen with good chefs and we're cranking out dinners, there's a part of you that just is like, "Ugh, I'm getting that itch again.
Yeah.
Would I put my name on something? Probably. Would I work with a team? Probably. Would I be there on Expo 7 nights a week again? Not a chance.
Right.
If I have to
Where
be
did-
there every day, no chance.
Just out of curiosity. So first question is, would you do the same style of if the stars aligned? Would you do the same style of restaurant? Not necessarily in Murfreesboro.
Nope.
Just in general.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm out
So-
of fine dining.
If the stars align, everything hit, right? What would be a generalized concept? Not asking you to put your name on it and say, hey, this is what I'm doing.
I've got an
if I
idea.
do it. But what would that be?
So my friends, Chad and Gracie in Nashville, they own a place called The Wash.
Yep.
And they also own East Side Banh Mi.
Yep.
So The Wash is an old car wash that they've developed into like 6 different bays. And there's one bay that has cocktails, one that has smash burgers, one that has quesadillas, one that has Asian style fried chicken, and one that does ramen. And then there's a coffee shop.
They were on Triple D, weren't they?
They might have been.
Think so.
But I love all those kind of foods. I don't eat them often, but I like the idea of having something where multiple people, like a big group of people, can all have something that they like. You don't have to walk into one restaurant and just be like, this is the menu. I love the idea of like, I want a smash burger, so I'm going to go there. Well, I want some wings. I'm going to go there. Well, I want a quesadilla, so I'm going to go there. And each bay is a specialized thing. They're all just doing a condensed menu. This is what we do. This is what we execute, and it's good. But we've got 6 options for kind of your friend group. And I think it'd be a genius idea to put it next to MTSU. We got the largest college in the state. There's nothing to eat around there other than Kitchen Way and Slick Pig. You put something like that next to MTSU where there's 35,000 students and there's outdoor dining with live music. They can get cocktails, coffee, wings, smash burgers.
Said it for years, man. If there was a food hall / music venue close to MTSU,
Killer.
somebody'd retire.
Yep.
I've never understood all things related to MTSU, how it being so large in Murfreesboro, it gets so overlooked. Whether it's athletics, whether it's tapping into the area for a student as a clientele, whatever it is. MTSU is almost like this bastard child that's just out there that we got stuck with.
It's a black hole.
Right, it is. And it's like, man, but there's so much opportunity there if somebody could do the right things with it.
I mean, I guess you got the Boulevard and there's Jimmy John's, but like that's it.
Right.
There's nothing that's like fun. You know, and so the Wash, they seat about 150 people outside. It's got a covered patio. But it's just kind of a cool spot. The low overhead. I mean, each bay is killing it. I think each bay is like a couple 100 square feet. They each have a dedicated walk-in. Takes 2 people to run the bay, and that's it. You order through a QR code at the front window. They call your name when it's ready. You go pick it up. You don't need servers. You don't need any of that stuff.
That's wild.
Labor's low. Cost is low. Kind of genius.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it,
Good
but
for them.
I don't know a developer that could really take that on because it's a big. I mean, it's a big nut.
Yeah,
It is.
that'd be wild.
It is. It would cost a little bit. I've looked into it. When before we got our brick and mortar, that was one of the things that we were looking into doing here in Rutherford County was having an event center, right? That was either going to be bays that you leased out to different concepts,
Yep.
and or just a food truck park. Right. And then you could do the exact same thing. You lease spaces for those food trucks.
The only issue with leasing it to other people is that you don't have control over it. So if you own the whole thing, it's all under your LLC, you design each different concept, you hire a general manager to kind of manage the properties, and then you just hire those people to work in those bays. You don't have to worry about someone closing up shop or someone not. I don't want to work 6 days a week. Well, we're open 7 days a week, so that's not really an option.
Yeah.
We're going to close on Wednesdays at 3. No, you're open
Right.
until 11. So
yeah.
you kind of get to control it. Plus, all the money stays at home. And I don't know. It feels like it makes sense. I think it's a genius idea, but
Very much so.
I've talked to a few people about it. They love it, but nobody wants to get on board. And I don't
Well,
have
the
the
capital-
wherewithal to do it right now.
The capital it takes to start it.
Oh, so much.
And the size of the lot you would have to have. That's where the biggest problem is. Like we looked at it to have quote unquote a music venue with a bar was what we were going to do. And then we were planning the outsourcing of the food, whether it was bays or food trucks or whatever. But you got to have that room. So you figure your average restaurant, you got to have 2.5, 3 acres for parking and the brick and mortar. Well, if you're going to have a music venue and seating and a bar, well, now you've just pretty much doubled that.
And then liquor licenses and insurance. And
Now you're looking at five acres minimum, and that's probably not enough room for the parking and everything you need.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, insurance, liquor license. Yeah. It's when we hit the lottery,
money.
I'll call you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also,
We'll figure something out.
I know that Sean Wright asked me maybe a year ago, like, what could the city do to make it easier for people to open restaurants? Because when I did it in 2018, it was a big burden. Like there is no rule book or playbook on how to open a restaurant, and every county's got a different law and different code, and there's sign ordinances and this and that, and it's almost like they don't want you to open it. It's like it's a burden for them to help you, and like you got to pay a $75 fee for them to come out and do an inspection to give you the beer permit, and then. I remember when I had it done, they walked around the back of my building, and the unit next to me had an HVAC unit behind their building, which was also my building. But the back grate was off, just propped up against the wall. And the guy that did the inspection was like, can't give you your permit, man. This is it's a hazard right here. I was like, well, that's not my unit. And he said, yeah, but somebody could walk out the back door. And I was like, nobody's going to come out the back door. It's through dry storage. And he's like, but it's a hazard. And so you got to take care of this before I can give you a permit. I said, well, what do you need me to do? He's like, you got to put that back grate back on. I was like, it just takes 4 screws. I got them in my office. He goes, no. You're going to have to submit another order for me to come out again to inspect it again.
Come on.
Another $75. I was like, I can fix it right now. It's like, nah, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I understand.
I was like, cool, man. Thanks.
understand.
This is fun.
I had a similar situation. But the funny part about mine was we were already in my unit and already operating.
Okay.
So when I got to my brick and mortar, I partnered with the restaurant that was already there.
Okay.
They just wanted to do the bar and the music, didn't want to mess with the food. So they leased it, sublet it to me. They gave me the kitchen and the dining room and said, here, we don't want to mess with it. Here's your lease. You pay this portion. We'll take the rest. Got it. Great. So I had been operating there for 60 days before it officially became mine, before I bought the restaurant. And when I called the city to get the beer permit put in my name, they said, oh, well, we got to come inspect it. I said, I've been operating here for 6 months or for 2 months, and they've had a beer permit already. You just did the inspection. Oh, no, they fell within the range of not needing an inspection last time. So now we have to come out. And I went, what?
Somebody just wanting to pull change.
What are you
there.
talking about?
That's ridiculous. Both of those are ridiculous.
75. It's a free $75 for the city. That's what it is.
Gosh.
So,
But there really should be like if you'd like to open a
guide.
restaurant in Rutherford County, here's the book for you to follow.
Yeah.
And that way, because in like the health department, why aren't they on your side? It's like when they walk in, it's like they want you to close. Like there should be some sort of like free introductory inspection where before you open, they walk around. They're like, this could be a hazard. You should work on this. Like to where they want you to get 100,
Right.
not I want you to get a 60.
I will say our inspector, our normal inspector is really, really good. She does a phenomenal
Who do you
job.
have?
Christy.
Okay. I had Stacy Fink. She was great, but I don't think she's there anymore.
I haven't heard that name in a while. I know that they've had some turnover and been looking for
Can't
people,
see why.
but yeah,
Seems like a fun job.
I mean, wouldn't you want to do it?
No, never. Just walk into somebody's walking and just start finger fucking all their foods. This feels like it's not cold enough. Like, did you wash your finger before you jammed it in my lettuce? No.
Now I got to throw out that bin.
You know,
Thanks.
I just cut all that romaine.
If it wasn't so true, it wouldn't be as funny.
Yeah, it
but
struck
it's
a chord
so
with you, I
fucking-
can tell,
it's
yeah.
so-
Oh, I remember
was
one
like,
time one of my servers texted me and said the health inspector's here, and I was like, oh God, nobody there's equipped to handle this guy. So I turn a U-turn in the road, go back, walk in the door, and I was like, hey man, what's going on? And he's like, I'll give you a 5-point critical violation for that. And I was like, for what? He goes, you didn't wash your hands when you walked in. I said, I walked in and talked directly to you. He's like, first thing you're supposed to do is wash your hands.
Wow.
And I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
I would get
I'll tell-
nervous.
Still got a
you-
95.
I'll tell you a funny story about health inspections, and then we'll move on. But so it's been 7 or 8 years ago. I was a director of operations in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
Okay. I hadn't taken over the market yet. I had just been hired, gone through all the training that they wanted me to go through, had some meetings I had to attend. And I get to my market. My VP's with me. And he calls me or is meeting me that day. He calls me and says, hey, I'm running a little late. So before we get started, there's something going on with the Irondale location over by the airport. You need to check it out. And I went, okay, what's going on? He was like, I don't know, something with the health department. You need to figure it out. Cool. So I call the restaurant. Hey, I just got a call saying that there's something going on with the health department. Oh yeah, we got it handled. Okay. What was wrong? Oh, well, we had an inspection and it didn't go well, but we got it all handled. It's all fixed. Don't worry about it. Okay. All right. Well, can you send me a copy of the inspection so I can go through it? And sure. All right. He sends me the inspection. I'm going through it. their score. Now, keep in mind, this is my first day at this market. First day at any of those locations. I've never met these people. This is their first introduction to Charlie as their new director. They had gotten a 64.
Ooh.
Holy crap.
On their health
I think
inspection.
it's an A with the new Department of Education scoring levels.
Wow. Okay.
It's real close. So I said, what the hell is going on? Like, how do you get a 64? Then I come to find out that was their re-inspect score.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't their first re-inspection score. It was their second re-inspection score.
Now, for those of us who are not in the restaurant biz, they tell you when they're coming on the reinspection, don't they? Or give you a window?
So in Alabama,
Okay.
it's different in every state and every
Okay.
county. So in Alabama, if you get below a 70, okay, then they give you 14 days to correct all critical violations. Okay. Their initial score was like a 52.
Holy cow.
Okay. So most criticals are 5 points. Most. Some of them are 4, but most are 5 points.
And most are relatively easy to fix.
Super easy. Like paper towels ran out of the paper towel dispenser and nobody noticed, and they hadn't
No
changed
soap
it
in
yet.
the dishwasher, no sanitizer.
Right. So it's not
hand washing
like
stations.
yeah, it's not like the criticals are rocket science things
Right,
to figure
right.
out. You know, you got beef in your walk-in that's temping at 75 degrees.
Right. You don't need a
Right,
nuclear
you know.
physicist to figure it out.
Right. You know, I mean, it's not rocket science. So I get this inspection and see that it's the third inspection, and we are on, at this point, they have given us 7 more days since that inspection to correct all of the criticals. We're on day 5.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay. And this
We got
is
it taken care of, though. We're good. We got
this is like 4 o'clock in the afternoon on day 5. So, and they haven't come. So I go to this restaurant, and it's hands down the nastiest restaurant I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, some of the things, I still have the pictures I can show you. We're not going to show them on camera. It is that bad. I mean, absolutely. Just think of the nastiest things you could imagine in a restaurant.
I mean, I sold food to Chef Wang's back in the day. I've seen some nasty.
Wow.
Then you know. Yeah. I mean, it's bad. So I went to the restaurant. We shut the doors to the restaurant. We closed for 48 hours. I called the health inspector, said, hey, we are not ready. I've closed the building for the public. We're not serving food. Can you please give me 48 hours to fix it? Then you can come do your inspection and we'll be back open. We won't open until you inspect. And he was like, sure, no problem. That sounds good. Thank you for doing that. I spent $30,000 in 48 hours. I threw away everything they had from a smallware standpoint and had to order new. All sheet trays, all pans, all plates, utensils, everything in that kitchen. Hired a pressure washing company to come in and
Dear God.
completely pressure wash the entire kitchen from top to bottom. Coolers, the whole 9 yards. Had to get, we used PFG at the time, got PFG to bring me a reefer truck, not the green stuff, an actual 18-wheeler that's refrigerated. So we took all of our food and put it in there and repainted, recleaned, scrubbed everything. Place was spotless. I mean, you could eat off the floor when we got done. The inspector shows back up at 3 o'clock on the following day. Like, I'm giving our CEO and COO hourly updates of where we're at and when we're going to open. Like this, you know, and this company was a 225 location company. Pretty large company, right? So they don't call people like me. They call senior VPs. So he shows up at 3 o'clock on the dot at, was it 6:20?
6:15, 6:20, something like that. He finally goes, all right, here you go, sign this. We got a 94. It was a brand new restaurant. Like there was nothing in there for him to mark us off on. He just made stuff up.
Just doesn't like giving out hundreds.
Just wouldn't give us 100. I said, what are you talking about, man? And he was like, well, the sinks need to be a little cleaner. And I went, they're brand fucking new.
Well, you still got the plastic from the factory on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I literally just pulled the blue sheet of plastic off. I'm like, they're brand new.
Here.
How do I get them cleaner? And he was like, they look pretty dirty, man. You need to get them cleaner.
Man.
Okay. 1 point. Thanks. All right.
You just roll with that, dude.
Health and
Needs
health
to be
department.
like a symbiotic relationship with the health inspectors. And it always feels like, every time they walk in, you got to scream code blue. It's like, help me be better.
Up until the one I have now, that's the way I've always felt. I have always felt that they were out to get me. They like you said, they didn't want me to open. They wanted you to close.
Yeah.
My thought process was always anybody can be a health inspector, not anybody can be a chef.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's true.
So every show we do a segment called Mac or Beans. And we've kind of hit on and about and around our segment of Mac and Beans. But
sweating like a pig.
I do it every
The
time.
reason-
I
You
do
have
it.
air conditioning in there, Trent?
That's why the door's open.
My God.
My back,
Photoshop this out.
my back will drip here in a minute. Like it'll just. I had to get up from behind the desk
Can I
for
get
that
a
one.
Bonnaroo mister over here or something? Jesus.
a Bonnaroo.
I feel like I'm in the sauna at Crunch.
That's outstanding.
No, you're not. It's never working.
Well, don't even get me started, dude.
We pay for it. It doesn't work. It drives
Don't
me
even
insane.
get me
They don't work.
started.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go to Gold's.
Didn't mean to.
That
pour
sauna's way
salt
too
in the wound.
small. Too
So,
many naked dudes in there.
The Gold's.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, I don't go into these.
Yeah,
No,
boy.
I
sir.
don't either.
oh man.
Yeah, I walked into the locker room one day at Gold's and was like, okay.
Yeah, no. Hard pass.
Yeah, I'm going right back out. Thanks. So to start with, obviously I cook a lot of barbecue. We have barbecue sides, mac or beans. So if you're eating barbecue, what side do you prefer?
Baked beans and coleslaw
Beans.
Beans.
Got it.
There it is.
with
Got it.
pickles.
With pickles.
Yeah.
I dig
All
it.
right.
I dig it.
All right. So,
All right. So that being
But also
said,
watch a lot of carbs. So
yeah,
that's fair.
that's true.
I don't know. I've always loved baked beans.
I do too.
I love them.
They're good.
They're good. It just makes sense with barbecue.
So that
Are
being,
you a mac and cheese guy?
it depends.
Seems like I've hurt your feelings.
No, you haven't hurt my feelings. I was actually kind of surprised.
You're surprised?
No, not surprised that so many people automatically say mac and cheese.
Yeah.
That when you hear somebody say beans, it's almost like, man, there's a really good reason for that, or there's something behind it, and I don't know. It just kind of was like, oh, okay.
I grew
These
up
beans-
eating more baked beans than mac and cheese. Also,
Yeah.
the amount of times I catered weddings where people would say, I'm dying for mac and cheese. I'm like, then you need to aim a little higher. in
Right,
life.
exactly.
I
But
gotta have mac and cheese at my wedding. I'm like, what are you talking about?
The
You know
rub
how many times I
have
had that conversation?
is when I was younger, my mom's baked beans were the only baked beans I liked.
Yeah. Turns out they were fan camps.
No, it's the
added beanie weenies to
Added
them.
some bacon to it.
it's the bushes with a dash of mustard,
There
a
it
dash
is,
of
a little bit of ketchup.
I can make them. A dash of ketchup, hit it with some brown sugar, onion,
My
top
mom
it
was
with
the
bacon.
same way. I made baked beans for family dinner. I'm like, you made bushes with ketchup.
That's right. See, all right.
Still
so
delicious.
everybody still
Hey.
wants mom's baked beans, so I got nothing against it. But that was what I grew up
Yeah.
with. So it was like these baked beans are like, but now baked beans are really good, and so it's always anyway.
I mean, I make baked beans from scratch now. They're like molasses, brown sugar, bacon,
Yeah.
slow cook them for 5 or 6 hours.
gosh, that sounds
but
amazing.
I can get a number 10 can at GFS for $5.99, and it tastes just as good, and the beans are way softer. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the other half of mac or beans, and you've kind of already hit on this, so I think I know where you're going to lean with it. Fine dining or a dive bar?
Dive bar.
There you go. Yeah. When you said earlier, I'm done with fine dining, it's like, oh, there's the mac and beans answer.
I mean, I'm just
It's
done
like-
with the pretentiousness. I'm done with it paying $400 for a meal where I still may leave partially hungry.
Yeah.
And then my wife will be like, I didn't like 6 of my 7 courses, So it's just, there's a place for it.
It happens to the best of us.
I know,
don't worry.
man.
Yeah,
I've
you
been
know.
seeing a doctor. But there is a place for it. But And there's a lot of great chefs that I love that are doing great things. But if I had to pick between a double smash burger or stuffed squab with a peanut sauce and then give me a cheeseburger.
I got no complaints
So
there.
look, and just because I cook a lot and love cooking, and I started culinary school. I didn't finish it because of a lot of that.
Yeah.
Like it was too, I had been in the restaurant business all my whole life.
Well, it's too damn expensive, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. And like one of my first courses, like I'm a general manager of a restaurant and I'm going to culinary school. And one of my first courses is how to hold a knife. And like I wanted to turn a knife around and say, this is how I hold it.
In fairness,
Right? Like, I mean, come on, man.
I learned how to hold a knife from him. So I saw his thing on Instagram one time, and I don't remember what you said because I was the guy that just holds the handle, and he was like, "You posted
hold it like you
something."
own it.
It was something. Yes, I think you said something like, "Hold it like you know what you're doing."
Yeah.
And put your index finger out and put
Grab
it in
that-
there.
grab
And
the
I was
blade.
like, "This makes all the difference."
If you don't hold the blade, you got no control.
You've got no
It needs to
control.
be an extension of your arm.
Yes. Yeah.
But I got tired of seeing all these fake ass influencers acting like they're chefs on Instagram. They're all holding their knives wrong. And I was like, listen, I know a lot of you just started becoming food influencers from Dunkin' Donuts or AMC theaters because you thought it'd make you a quick buck. But if you're going to do it, at least act like you know how to hold a knife.
And-
Yeah.
Quit putting your finger on the blade, like on the spine of the blade. Hold it like this.
Well,
it makes me so mad.
About twice a week now, I will go to cut something, and I grab the top. I was like, "Yeah, I'd learned that from Alex. I just got to do that."
Well, it's fun. When I did a lot more prepping than I do now, I would get a
Calluses,
callus
yeah.
on
I've
my,
got them.
my-
Whole
yeah,
side of my finger.
on
That's
the side of your
impressive.
finger, right? And I always cut off the tips of my knuckles because you hold the food here,
Yep.
and you chop this way.
I mean, if you're running
So
down
you're-
50 pounds of onions, your hand is
gonna-
going to be calloused.
Yeah.
There's no way around
And
it.
I mean, sitting there doing that
For hours.
it takes a minute,
Yeah,
right?
it's a real glamorous job.
it's
I won't be a chef because I won't be like Emerald and Rachel Ray. And then you get in there and you're peeling potatoes for 4 hours. Picking thyme leaves for 4 hours. Like, what is this? This is called prep.
everybody thinks that it's a what is I heard the other day? Yachts and sports cars.
No.
Right? And you own a restaurant and it's yachts and sports cars. Screw you. No, it's not.
The amount of people that thought I was rich when I owned that restaurant, it was insane. And the amount of friends that I would have, they'd be like, oh, I know the chef. Have him just send me out an appetizer. I'm like, do you want me to be successful? Because if you do, you wouldn't ask me for free stuff. You would pay the price because that's what it cost me to operate.
I never
You
knew.
had people just walk in and say, "I know the
Dude,
owner, the chef," and just send it out.
all the time.
Oh,
I'd
it
have
happens-
posted
yeah.
something, and look, I will back anybody. I don't care what your small local business is. If they are your friend, you should be buying from them.
support 'em.
I have never once, other than what you've brought in here, gone to your restaurant and said, "Hey, what can I get on the tab?" I pay every time.
I'll have friends that try to give me things, and I'm like,
So-
put it on the bill.
Put it on the bill because that is
Here's
your
a-
livelihood. You have come out of pocket for it. There's a reason. And I don't care if I'm paying for knowledge, if I'm paying for food, if I'm paying product, whatever.
You want to find out how many friends you got?
Open a restaurant, open a small business.
Open
Yeah.
a business.
Your
Yeah.
friends aren't the ones that'll come eat there.
I'm telling you, dude.
That's what's crazy.
It absolutely, and I remember somebody asked me one time, it was right after I bought the single tree hat from you. Someone was like, well, how many did he give you? He didn't. I bought this. And well, it seems like he gave you one if y'all have known each other since high school. I was like, you've got to be, like, it upset me. And I never shared that here, but like it ticked me off because first of all, it's a $20 hat or whatever. It wasn't like, you didn't break the bank on this hat. And like, come on, fella, like you support those people around you. And sorry,
We opened in February of last year.
yes.
Right? Yeah. Time flies. It goes really slow. So about 3 months into being open, a gentleman walks into my restaurant and sits down. I'm in the office, middle of the afternoon, trying to catch up on some admin stuff as we do,
Yep.
right? Because you got a minute to breathe. So let's knock it out. And I hear somebody up at the front of the restaurant saying something about how nice the place is, this, that, and the other. It's really cool. Is Charlie around? And I'm like, man, that voice sounds familiar. So I walk out. And as I'm walking out, he still can't see me, but I can hear him say, "Oh, me and Charlie have been buddies for 20-something years, and
here it comes.
we're good friends." And I love that guy, and I'm so proud and happy of what he's done. This son of a bitch sued me.
Nice.
Sued me for $25,000.
When?
Did you punch him in the balls in high school or
About 20 years ago.
Wow.
That's how close of friends we are.
That's sweet of him.
But if you would have heard him talk about it, we were like this.
Yeah.
Wait,
Best friend.
he sued you then, and then came in talking about how you're all buddies now.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
My own family never
Yeah.
came to my restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, Mom did.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
People don't understand. And like one of the biggest things I have found is like people don't understand what it takes to operate a restaurant. They don't understand the time. They don't understand the effort, the passion. My wife yells at me all the time and I don't know your opinions, but I give two shits. You want my recipes? I'll write them all down.
Yeah, I write them all down. I put them in magazines, publications all the
Merry
time.
Christmas.
Most people just want to read them. They're not going to make them.
And I don't care if you're gonna make them.
Right.
Like I don't give them two shits. And my wife always says, "Oh well, they're not gonna come get it from you." Yeah, they are. Because if you want to do what I do, then you go do what I do.
Right.
Right. If you want to put in the time, the effort, the energy, not have
On
a Christmas,
daily basis,
not have a Thanksgiving, not have a day off. I mean, your days off. I took Sunday off and spent 6 hours working to go see Shatika and check out her stuff so I could have some real firsthand knowledge of talking about her restaurant and food truck and what she's trying to do. So, but I wasn't in my restaurant,
right?
But I'm still working.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Just my wife, my kids, they all come to the restaurant. I mean, my 12-year-old washes dishes for God's sakes, just to help his dad.
I gotta let DCS know about that.
Please do. Feels wrong. All them some bitches. It ain't gonna change.
Child labor laws being violated over here.
Because you arrest me, my wife's still gonna be there making him wash the dishes. But nobody understands.
No,
they don't get it. That it's. I mean, the amount of if you don't have an unbridled, unbelievable passion to just go after it 24/7 every single day, you're not going to win.
No,
you're not going to be successful. And then the other side of it is somebody said to a friend of mine who's been in had his restaurant for 17 years now, and they made a comment about them being lucky. And I was like,
real lucky.
It's funny you say that, because the harder I work and the more effort and the more focus
luckier you get.
That I put on things, the luckier I get. I think was it Pitbull that said that on some conference that he was doing?
Ashton Kutcher said it a long time ago. He said, I think hard work looks a lot, or luck looks a lot like hard work.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible, right? I mean, the more people, the more effort I put into the community, the more the community pays me back. The more I support, the more they support me.
Yep.
It's amazing how I used to have an argument with my father all the time. And he's like, "Oh, well, you got to have the food has to be phenomenal." No, food's got to be good.
Yep.
Because if the food has to be phenomenal, then explain to me why McDonald's is successful.
Oh man. Yep.
I mean, you can buy a cheeseburger and 30 years later it doesn't have mold on it. Like, that's not phenomenal culinary skills. That's cardboard.
That's preservatives, baby.
Right?
The power of MSG.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's nuts to me how.
I mean, that's one reason the Alley
most
on
people
Main was so
understand.
successful. Like, when they first opened, they poured into the community, and they still are very active with the community. I mean, they've done so many charities and give back and raise money for so many different foundations and things like this. They're all in with the community, and the community's all in on them. And that's just kind of how it works. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, it's great.
3 things real quick,
Okay.
because I don't know how short we are on time or whatever, but
If I can skip bedtime routine and screaming, let's go.
First is I want to know your favorite dish to make.
You know that's an impossible question for
I
a
know
chef
that,
to answer,
and
right?
that's why I'm asking you, putting you on the spot.
I don't have a favorite dish to make. It's really, for me, it's taking these random ingredients and putting them together to a dish that, when you watch people eat it, they're just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah.
"Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
And I guess that carrot dish that I've been making for 7 years has kind of become, I guess, my signature dish now.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that I love it is because it's a bowl of carrots, and nobody ever expects carrots to be good.
Right.
But when you eat it, you're like, holy shit, this is good.
Right.
I don't expect that. So I guess the carrots that I make are good. I mean, I love cooking with seafood because I think there's a real skill involved with that, and there's got to be some finesse involved. Other things you can just kind of hammer and get done, but with seafood, you got to be really particular and watch your temperatures and your times. So I love cooking with seafood, but I don't know. I love to cook. It's not, but I'll be honest. If you ask me if I'd rather cook or sing, I'd sing it with trumpet all the time.
Okay, well that's a great segue into the third part here, but I'm gonna get the second answers real quick. I think I tried to tell my wife there's a reason you put the pasta water in the pasta.
Yeah, starch.
It's the starch from it. She didn't want to believe me. I was like, because I made some Alfredo right before I came over tonight, and I'm over there with a little teaspoon. She goes, "What are you doing?" I was like, "You need that in the pasta." She goes, "I don't think this is a thing." I was like, "It's a thing, I promise."
It makes it so it loosens up the sauce, but it makes it more creamy.
That's exactly what I said about the
and
technical
pasta
term.
Also, like if you hold it for more than 20 or 30 minutes, you put it in the fridge, it's going to tighten up.
Right.
So you've got to over sauce your pasta to make it kind of stay that way, even for the next 5 minutes, because those carbs are just going to absorb all that moisture. So you want to kind of over cream your pasta. That way it stays creamy when you eat it. So, but pasta water is always the trick to make any dish, a quarter cup, a little bit of like just a ladle full of pasta water when you're finishing a sauce brings it all together.
Excellent.
Plus it's got salt in there. So it's kind of helping balance all the flavors.
So you segued into this a little bit, the music thing.
Yep.
You had a song come out about a year ago.
Yep.
It was right after Hell's Kitchen.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. I loved it. And
You got one coming out on Friday.
yeah, and I was gonna say you've got another one coming out, don't you? Mm-hmm. And so that's who you working with? Is this a solo act? Are you working with a group?
No, so when I said that it's opened more doors musically than food wise, I really wasn't lying. Like some of the things and people that I've gotten to cook for and hang out with over the last year, it's blown my mind. Like hanging out with Matchbox 20, that was crazy. College me was freaking out.
Right.
Karaoke me was freaking out. The amount of times I sang 3 a.m. at Buffalo Wild Wings was ridiculous.
You got the Rage Room with Daughtry.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Chris and I are friends, and he's heard both my songs. He likes them. All the guys in Shinedown, like we're friends. So I went to cook for Shinedown about a year and a half ago at their Huntsville show. Just cooking backstage. Sent them a message. I was like, "Hey boys, been a fan of your music for a long, long time since college. Love to cook for you. I live 90 minutes away. I'll come down to Huntsville. I'll cook you dinner before your show, and then I'll watch the show and I'll head home." So I'm cooking backstage, like really on the back of a semi truck, basically with a plastic pop-up table, exhaust fumes and salmon. And Sanjay, who is their videographer's out there, and he's filming me doing some stuff. And Brent, Barry, Zach, and Eric, they all come out, they get a plate, and we chat for about 30 minutes. They all grab a plate, and I was like, "All right, guys, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Have a great show. I'll see you later." And they were like, "Get the fuck on the bus, dude." And I was like, "What was that now?" So I made a plate. We sat on the bus for like 3 or 4 hours and just shot the shit.
That's awesome.
They're the most down-to-earth, humble, awesome dudes in the world.
That's awesome.
And so fast forward, we've hung out a few times. Sanjay and I have become good friends. And so he was like, "Why don't we try to write some music together?" So this little musical door of mine has been shut in my brain since 2017.
Right.
Didn't think about it once I opened the restaurant. I mean, I've missed making music forever, but it's just, in one of the songs that we have coming out, it's coming out in 2 months. I wrote it 15 years ago about my wife's sister's heroin addiction. And it was really cool to record a song that's been in my head for 15 years and hear it to music.
Right.
And what's crazy is we got the mix back from the producer on the 8th anniversary of her death. And my wife, we were listening to it in my house, and Sarah just starts bawling. And it was a really weird moment because I was upset that she was upset, but I was also incredibly happy that a song that I wrote was able to get that kind of emotion out of somebody, because it's a touching song, and to hear that, music's a powerful thing, man. And I've always said it, like music and food are the 2 universal love languages.
Wow, yeah.
There's no barriers, there's no cultural separation. Like Nickelback plays in China They don't know what they're saying, but they live they love it, right? And then, but those
You've done that one at Buffalo Wild Wings too. I can hear it like that.
I got a little bit of that in there. But there's just something about, I mean, I've been a musician making music since I was like 7 years old. I was in Riverdale Singers. We sang at Carnegie Hall. The one venue I've not been able to sing at yet is the Ryman. And that's my favorite venue, the Mother Church.
awesome.
I've been there over 100 times. And I've seen so many shows there. But I don't know, man. Since we went to that studio in July, I've written 29 songs.
Wow.
And so we're going back in October. And I actually set it up to where the resort that I stayed at in Scottsdale, it's a beautiful resort, the Scottsdale Resort. And I'm actually doing a pop-up dinner there while I'm there. So they're paying for the hotel room and for me to be there. And I've also set up studio time while I'm there. So I'm able to do both jobs in the same week.
Yeah.
And, not
Are you
have it
scheduling
totally
down days when you get back because you're going to need them?
Probably.
There you go.
But I don't know, man. I'm really proud of the song that's coming out Friday. It's called Falling. And I don't know. I don't have really any expectations for it, but it's just cool to be able to do what you love. If you have a dream, what's the point in not chasing it? Like, I don't want to get back to the end. I don't want to get to the end of my life and say, I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
When I've got the time and the capacity to do it now. And I want to show my boys, like, if you love to make slap bracelets, if that's your thing, then go make some slap bracelets. It doesn't have to make you money. Yeah. You have to have a job, obviously, that pays the bills. But if you find there's just the joy is in the doing, right? And if you find joy in doing it, then go do it. Yeah. And so that's really the whole thing is just, I want to wake up and say, I get to do this, not I have to do this.
Right.
And that's always been my thing. And that's what I told my staff at Dallas and Jane. I want the day you say I have to go to work and not I get to go to work, you should probably think about a different place to work.
Yeah.
But also one bad day doesn't make a bad job. Like we all have bad days.
Oh, yeah.
Today was a bad day for me. Our HVAC at our house broke. My truck broke. This happened, that happened. It was like a $7,000 day today. Been terrible.
Yeah, you had a week with your vehicle.
Dude, that truck, we about died. And then I took it. That was Thursday last week. Finally got an appointment at GMC today. Dude's looking at my warranty on the computer. He's like, man, so your warranty expired at 103,950 miles. You're at 104,240 miles.
Stop.
Oh,
Stop. There's no way you're 300 miles.
250 miles over my warranty.
Gosh.
And both the dowel pins that hold the axle into the control arm popped out while we were on the interstate going 70 miles an hour. We about lost the front passenger tire while we were driving on the interstate. He's never seen anything like that happen before. Huge manufacturing problem. It's the 2019 GMC era. I've got the torque converter's gone out. The manifolds had a problem. The muffler housings had a problem. And now this. Like, it's a 5-year-old truck.
Woo.
Wow. And they're like 250 miles over your warranty.
Come on, man. That's
GMC, if you're listening, we have a problem.
look, GMC, I'm telling you right now, if you are listening to this,
I'm going Ford.
You need to get my man a new truck, or we're going to convert him to Ford.
I'm getting a Raptor. That's all there is to say about
there
it.
you go.
If he ever opens another restaurant, we're going to have him on toast. But
I used Toast at Dallas and Jane.
I love toast.
Yeah, they were cool, man.
Obviously,
The months where we were really struggling, they offered me a line of credit, and then they would just charge the credit card. That I never even saw the payments coming through. It was just like, we're going to take a percentage off each credit card transaction to pay back your line of credit. Man, that thing saved me.
Look, Toast is I mean, from a technology standpoint, they're obviously our primary technology partner. They sponsor our show. I don't think I will ever use another POS system.
No, they were solid.
I'm on their customer advisory board, so I get to go to the headquarters, once a quarter and actually meet with the leadership and hear straight from the horse's mouth. And I can tell you, the other guys, myself and the other guys that are on the board are not. We don't hold back. We're not pulling punches. We're telling them exactly how we feel and what needs to be fixed. And they, by the next meeting, if it's not fixed, then here's the hurdle we had while we were fixing it, but here's what we've accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible what they do. And then just the pure ability to help your restaurant from an execution and hospitality standpoint is incredible.
Yeah, they were solid.
So,
customer service was quick responding.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was, I never had anything negative to say about that. I'm
They do a
not
good
trying
job.
to be a brand sponsor by any chance, but
Hey,
they
make it happen.
they really were great to work with.
I love it. You got a Friday feel good for
I
us?
do, and like it's great to have both y'all on with the entrepreneur side of things. But your Friday feel good this week, guys, is we all have dreams. We all have that big thing out there that we aim for, want to go for. The sad part is so many of us don't take that first step. Don't be afraid. Jump out there, go after it. And what's the worst you do if you miss? Great, you've got an adventure and a story, or you may just land it and get it and do exactly what you want to do and never dream again, because it'll all be reality. So that's it. You know what to do. Find somebody you know. Tell them you love them.
I love it.
So-
Alex, thank you so much for hanging out with
pleasure.
us, man.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. If people are trying to get a hold of you from a cooking standpoint, musical standpoint, obviously we have found out today you want to do more music than the cooking. But
Life's weird, man. You never know.
You're an exceptional chef, and people love your cooking.
Thank
so
you.
how can people get a hold of you, find you, book you, etc.?
Yeah. Instagram's probably the best way. You can always email me, alex@alexbelew.com, but I'm on Instagram as just Alex Belew, and I try to respond to most everybody that, if you're not a weirdo that sends me feet pics. I try to respond to most people that send me messages on Instagram, but there are some seriously nutty people out there.
I'm sure there is.
I got one lady that thinks we're in a relationship, actually.
It
I'll let
takes
you
all
read some
kinds.
messages. It's pretty funny.
Man,
That's outstanding.
She's like, hey, did Bobby tell you to bring the cable from the iPad to work? Because I ain't seen him today. Who the fuck is Bobby? Who are you?
Bobby had a job and didn't know it.
You're in my hidden requests, lady. I don't know who you are. You're going to stay that way.
That's right. You
Yeah.
keep that one
You gonna
locked
stay
away.
right there.
I let my wife read them just because she laughs.
That's
She
hysterical.
calls me
Hilarious.
stud muffin sometimes.
That's
I'm
it.
just like, yo.
Oh, that's
Golly.
great. I'm changing you to stub muffin now. That's great. Look, guys, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for tuning in today. Again, if you want to get involved, please reach out to me at charlie@singletreebbq.com. You can call me at 615-307-0120. And as always, we are super happy to have you on the show. And as Derry said, find somebody you know, tell them you love them. And until next time, we'll see you then.
That'll be good.
Smoke them if you got them.
That's it.
Amen.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, leave us a 5-star review and come see us at the restaurant.